Welcome back to Good Morning San Diego at 8:48 on this Saturday morning. An all-female jury and almost all-white jury will hear opening arguments in Florida on Monday in the murder case against George Zimmerman. He's the man accused of second-degree murder of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin in that racial profiling case, for lack of a better term. That's the way America sees it. It's one of the most highly charged racially charged cases since the O.J. Simpson trial, let's face it. Okay, here with more on what we can expect and what the recent developments mean is attorney and legal analyst Sezen Oygar. Thanks for being with us on Good Morning San Diego.
Good morning, John.
Okay, first, we just got news within the past hour that the judge has ruled against the motion to allow, the judge has ruled in favor of the defense motion not to allow the expert testimony on this 911 tape that allegedly reveals Trayvon Martin screaming for mercy. Okay, how badly will that affect this case? I mean, how big a setback is it for the prosecution?
So the 911 tape is still going to get into as evidence, and it really is going to be probably the most important piece of evidence besides George Zimmerman's testimony. It's definitely going to be a setback for the prosecution. So the prosecution's expert essentially was saying, hey, I've got this new voice identification technology. I can definitively determine that this is the voice of Trayvon screaming, help, help, help. What the defense did, and they did actually an excellent job and kind of had some heavy hitters within the forensics department coming in. They had an FBI expert who said, no, this is junk science, basically. It's not reliable. You can't find anybody in the world that can definitively say this is Trayvon. So I think the judge made the appropriate ruling here. It's going to be left to the minds of the jurors to determine who it is. And that really was the argument that the defense was giving. Listen, are you going to rely on junk science, or we can't definitively tell you who this is?
Right.
Jurors, make up your own mind.
And let's talk about those jurors.
Oh, yeah.
They're all women. And 5 of them are white women, one's Hispanic. How is that going to affect the whole process of trying this case? There are some experts, and we'll ask you for your analysis on this, who are saying this is really bad news for the defense team because these women are going to sympathize with, well, it's really bad news for the prosecution because the women are going to sympathize with Zimmerman because they can't put themselves in the shoes of a young black boy. All right, what do you think? What if you're there arguing this case?
I think everybody was shocked that we got 6 women on this jury panel.
But you told us last week that this is a predominantly white community.
Right, predominantly white community, but the fact that we got women was a little surprising. I think George Zimmerman, his first thought was, you know, is this a jury of my peers or my greatest fear? Having 6 women for it, you know, going to determine his fate. But I really think there's going to be pros for each side. So for the prosecution, the fact that these are all women, 5 out of 6 of the jurors are mothers. So I think that's going to be helpful for them because they're going to want to look at Trayvon and potentially identify that this is his son. If you put Trayvon's mother on the stand, hello empathy card, that's going to be huge. When you have Trayvon's mom saying, that's my son's voice, that's going to pull at the heartstrings of all these mothers. For the defense, I tend to think that, yes, the fact that these are women helps the prosecution, I think actually a little more. But you have the women who can potentially identify with Zimmerman as being a protector. This was a neighborhood that had been, you know, burglarized recently. So you can kind of pull on that fear string and really pull in the women on that front. It
could go either way, couldn't it?
It could, but I think what the most important thing about this panel is that it's the race card. You have 5 of the women are white, 1 is Hispanic. The defense actually did it's called a Batson motion. Prosecution, when they were going through this voir dire process, challenged 4 white women in a row to get them kicked off of the panel. Defense said, hey, whoa, 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 you can't do that. There's constitutional, there's a law saying you cannot purely base your peremptory strikes on race alone. The judge agreed with the defense counsel.
Wow.
So 2 of those 4 got put back on the panel. And come on, you've already, the defense, you know, that's great for the defense because the prosecution's starting out with 2 jurors who have a serious demerit against the prosecution. They know that the prosecution doesn't like them. And you've got to remember, the prosecution has the burden here to get a unanimous jury. So 2 strikes, I think, for them already.
All right. Sezen Oygar, thank you. Boy, this just keeps getting more and more interesting. And will you come back and give us some more analysis? Opening arguments happen on Monday in this celebrated case. Stay tuned. Good Morning San Diego is right back after this break.